I'm absolutely delighted that the Life Story Network is partnering with foundations to host these two conferences across England. The Life Story Network was commissioned by the Department of Health as part of its programme to improve the post-diagnostic care for people living with dementia and carers, to really think about the concept of home and the concept of home in relation to people's well-being and sense of identity. So over the next 2 days, what we're hearing about is people's experiences themselves about when they've got to be faced with making those transitions from home to either supported living or even to a care home. What's important for the professionals to understand is that concept of home and what that means on a very personal level. And I think sometimes professionals tend to forget that. So part of the conference is about reminding each individual about what home means to them first and applying that then in practice when they are supporting people going through that transition.
I would recommend that people take time, if they have it, to consider the various options that are available to them so that they get something as close to their current home as they can, and also not to just think about their current needs but what their future care needs may be, and feel comfortable with the care that may be provided to them in the future.
I think the big thing is thinking ahead, and so actually planning. So before you have a diagnosis for dementia, for instance, just as we age, I think it's useful for us all to be thinking about the issues that are important to us.
I think the key thing is to treat people as individuals, recognise that they are people, and that this can be a really scary time. They're possibly losing their identity. Treat them with care, respect, and dignity.
It's thinking about the very things that, if I hope it never happens, I end up in a care home, but if I do, the things that I would want in the care home, because as much as my daughter knows a lot about me, there are things that I'd know she wouldn't have in my room because she wouldn't know that they meant a lot to me. So it's thinking ahead and actually then letting people know.
Listen differently. One of the things that this has taught me is that actually people living with dementia and their carers have a unique perspective on their own position, and actually our response to that should be a range of options for them to choose and help them through.
I think to make it as easy as possible by keeping the same kind of things that you had before, and explaining why you're doing it to them.
Too often the rhetoric that policymakers say we have a range of policy options for people living with dementia doesn't match up to the reality, where we very much respond to assumed or professionally assessed need.
Don't just take over and say, this is what you've got now. You have to explain. I've explained to Dave, said this is what we're doing now, sweetheart, and this is where we live. And now it's a wet room, you haven't got a bathroom, and things like that. I think that's one of the big things, is talking to them. Don't just talk to the person next to them, ask the person who's actually doing it all. That to me anyway is my best tip.